All right, folks of Seattle, welcome to the Jopra Show. This is Joe Janot live at 1150 KKNW, your alternative talk radio. And I'm in the house today. Post-Seafair weekend, people are still droggy. The Fab Fly did what they do on a Sunday. They rocked the city, and all was well. Eric, did you get to see the big boys?
I did, yeah. They fly right over the building here when they're doing their practice, so I got to see the practice shows.
The practice show?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice, nice. And the big fat Albert was roaring. I mean, I tell you something. I mean, I didn't realize. I mean, it takes a lot of work to do the Seafair. And I think it's got to go longer. A couple of days, I need more Seafair. But we'll talk more about that. Today, we're going to get a big show underway today. I mean, I got some big players in here today. Thomas Price, Master Song from the Metropolitan Grills in house today. And then the great man, great Nabob himself. That's right. Derek McGill's going to be rolling in here today. But first and foremost, I got to introduce my lady to my left. That's right, Mrs. Lisa Martin's in the house. How you doing, Lisa?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How was your weekend?
It's spectacular.
Did you hit the Seafair in the boats?
No, I did not hit the boats, but the Blue Angels flew over my apartment quite a number of times. So I laid out and watched them.
Nice. You know, and I got some pictures from people. They sent them to me. And I tell you, there's things going on those boats that I think are a little, could be
Risque.
NC-17. I mean, I think the Blue Angels, the Fab Five, I like to call them, are seeing a lot more than just the water, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's flashing, and then there's just, hey, here's the whole world.
Here I am.
Yes, please take me.
Take
I
me.
mean, there were signs that
Take
I want
me,
to
I'm
have
yours.
I'll have your third and fourth baby. There was that going on there for the Fab Five, which I thought, it's appropriate.
Show me the way home, honey.
You're right. You know, everyone's seen Top Gun. That's my show for you. Hey, if you're joining us today, we're going to give away lots of prizes. That my main man, Thomas Price from the Metropolitan Grill, brought with him is a big bottle of wine. My man, Mr. McGill, Devlin McGill, brought in a couple of ships to go to an event called the Northwest Tequila Fest. So don't be afraid to give us a call in at 425-373-5527. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to meet the man who just passed on the Master Sommelier test, which we're going to talk a lot about and get down with him. Thomas Price will be with us after these messages here on the Jopra Show at 1150 KKNW Alternative Talk Radio.
If you love dogs, tune in to The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, live every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll talk about everything dog and interview authors, experts, and amazing organizations, both locally and nationally. And don't even get me started on the pet food industry. I'm Julie Forbes. Find us online at www.dogradioshow.com and also as a free podcast on iTunes. The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, an evolved perspective on life with dogs.
For home repair, remodel, and construction advice, ideas, and stories every Saturday at 10 a.m., tune in to Constructing Whatever. With over 40 years of combined experience, hosts Tim and Lynn talk about whatever, from important need-to-know topics to fielding your questions from the latest industry news to humorous stories from the job site. Start your weekend project day with us on Constructing Whatever.
This week, let's get it on. Saturday, 10 a.m.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
1150kknw.com. It's why they invented the internet. We think. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Well, folks, welcome back to the Jopra Show. Thanks for joining us. And I got my Rocky music rolling early today because I'm about to introduce you to a man who's done not one, not two, not three, but only 122 people in all of America has been able to do. and that's past the Master Sommelier. I mean, you got to understand, there's only 360 guys who play NBA ball. There's only 100 or 217 guys who play PGA on the tour. There's only one person who can run a 9.53 in the 100 meters. And I get to introduce you one of the great ones today. I mean, he took an exam that is a 5-day tour. They got a verbal, they got an oral, they got a written, they got a blind tasting, and they want you to fail. But he didn't. He pulled off one of the great wins today. I'm proud to introduce from the Metropolitan Grill Steakhouse and now Master Sommelier Thomas Price. Thomas, how are you, brother?
I'm great, Joe. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, man. Good. Welcome to the Jopra Show. Thomas, man, congratulations. First and foremost. What an honor it is to have you here, and what a
Thank you.
What a thing.
Thanks.
For all of you who don't know, Thomas, tell my listeners, I mean, where did it all start? I mean, did you wake up one day, roll over and say, "Hey, Jessica, I'm gonna be a Master Som"?
Almost like that. We had our restaurant, my lovely wife Jessica, and I for years, Luau Polynesian Lounge. Some of you may remember in Wallingford.
Oh yeah.
And we sold it in 2004. And I had always had a lifelong love of wine and a deep passion for it. But I realized that to get to where I wanted to be in the world of wine, I had to try to become the best. And so this certification, I made a conscious choice in 2004 to attempt to try to take this thing down.
Nice. And for those who don't know it, I mean, there's a long process to this, and there's different levels. Could you go through those levels to get to become a Master Som?
Absolutely. There's 4 levels of testing through the Court of Master Sommeliers. There's intro. There's a certified exam. I should go back. Intro is basically just 2 days of seminar and then a test, multiple choice test. Certified involves a service piece where you have to correctly open a bottle of champagne. Then there's the advanced exam, where that's when the lifestyle change has to occur. You can pass intro and certified without sort of changing your time management and your prioritizing of life. But advanced, the pass rate goes down to 30%, and then master, the pass rate goes down to about 3%. So obviously that's when things get a lot more serious.
Yeah, that's the club. They're not going to let just anybody get into the club.
And that is the perception, and I, after failing the exam utterly the first couple times I took it, I was sort of in that camp. But as I've gotten a peek behind the curtain and actually was able to teach one of the intro and certified exams less than 3 weeks after I passed, which was a big moment for me, it's utterly fair. It's just you have to be in the right mindset and manage your nerves and manage your emotions, and that's what's really, really difficult.
That's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah.
And to go even a step further, I mean, I know it was an 8-year process, correct?
Correct. From 8 years just under 8 years from when I decided to attempt it to passing in May.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's impressive.
I mean, and tell a little bit about the exam. I mean, you go in, it's a 5-day process, is that right, that you're in?
Correct. It usually takes about 5 days. You travel to a different city every time. It goes in different order, and that's the thing that makes these tests tough, too. They're not always the same. There's no, studying the questions to get the right answers. Mm-hmm. It's completely always morphing, always changing, as is the world of wine. I mean, so the first part that I struggled the most with probably in this whole process was the theory exam, which is an oral format. So basically, you just get questions fired at you from the world of wine that are some esoteric, some you should know, probably about 90 questions. And if you can't command the information within 10 seconds, you either say pass or throw a guess out there, and then you're on to the next. The next component is a service component where you're waiting on a group of master sommeliers, but it's extremely formal. It's like you're waiting on the Queen of England. You have to be service very technically correct. Again, you get asked a bunch of really difficult questions about a bunch of vintages, a bunch of various issues about the world of wine. And then the last component, which everyone finds difficult, is the blind tasting. 3 whites, 3 reds, and 25 minutes to basically get the country, region, district, grape varietal, quality level, and vintage correct.
Dang.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So.
Dang. And so, I did a little research.
Wow.
I called down to some of my people in Colorado, and I talked to some of my folks about how your test went. And here's a couple of things I got. And I got some notes for you. That was pretty impressive. One, they said that your tasting was one of the best tastings they've seen in over 8 years. That's pretty impressive.
I was really in the zone for this exam.
So I could go down to the local market right now and pour you a glass of red wine, and you would just tell me what it is, right?
with a 4-minute and 15-second evaluation, I bet I could come pretty close. We only pour what are deemed classic wines.
Sure.
So if it's some crazy blend from somewhere no one's ever heard of, that's different. But if it's a Red Bordeaux, or if it's a Côte Rôtie, or if it's a Napa Cabernet, I should be able to get it.
The Superman of tasting, folks. The Superman. That's impressive.
Thank you.
That's impressive. And, let me ask you, when you're going through this, kind of the tasting part of it, which I think is, I've done this, and it's not an easy test at all. Is there a part where you were like, did you ever go like A or B? I may have to pass on that one, or were you pretty sure all the way through?
This past tasting, I killed it. I mean, I feel like, one of the things we do in the Court of Master Sommelier is we never tell you your exact results, which is, some feel it's counterintuitive, but it's such an individual and personal achievement that we want people to really sort of dig deep within themselves and find out what it takes to be kind of the best in the world at something. So, but even after I passed the exam and I'm sitting around at dinner with all my new colleagues, I was pretty sure I went 6 for 6, almost down to the vintage. And I had asked one of my proctors, one of the people sitting on my panel, I said, I pretty much went 6 for 6, right? And he said, that was the best tasting I've seen in a really long time.
Wow.
But I never got the validation. I'm pretty sure I went 6 for 6. So
that's what I'm talking about. You go ahead, TP.
Thanks,
so then, you do the taste, you do the theory. So then what happens? The group sit in a room and they come by and pin you? Or, how do you find out? I know it's probably very mentally and emotionally exhausting. I mean, do they put you in a room and go, well, Thomas, yes?
Basically, there's a little bit of
drama.
There's a lot of drama because there's not really a hazing component to it, but obviously our group is so small that when you do succeed, basically, let me set the scene. You're sitting around in a hotel lobby in some city in America. I was in Aspen, Colorado, and basically there were 64 candidates, and a group, either 2 or 3 master sommeliers, will come out and call your name, and then you go sit down with them, and we give what we call the post-exam evaluation. So we say, you passed the service component, but your tasting and your theory needs work or something like that. So by the time, and I happen to be the last guy called of the whole group this time. So, and I've been through this. This is my 4th attempt at this exam. So there's a group, this is a room full of people who have all, I hate to draw a parallel to the Olympics because what they're doing physically and their stage is so much grander, but it's similar in that these people have all been working a significant portion of their lives to achieve this. And so there's a lot of people crying, and very few of them are crying tears of joy. So my exit interview, and I felt like I did really well, but again, you never know until you know. I had 2 components left to get. I had my tasting and my theory to get. So basically, one of my colleagues sort of stretched it out and basically told me, I wish you were better. Stuff like that. He was kind of messing with me, and I was pretty emotional. But basically,
are you by yourself when you're finding this out?
You're by yourself, but basically, there's a lot of people because we all have so much skin in the game in this. We're all watching. We all are pulling for each other.
Sure.
So basically, after sort of pushing my buttons a little bit, he whipped out the red pin and put it on me, and then I completely lost it. So
awesome.
How many women?
I believe, and we just had another woman pass, Gillian Balance. I believe 18 total in the organization out of 197 in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then you get pinned after you come back to your senses of crying all day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got to think that you called Jessica right away.
Yes, she was the first one I called.
And so how'd that go?
It was fantastic. Her and my son Sam have been so great through this process, and putting up with the studying and me drawing the maps of obscure wine regions of Europe and having parts of the house just utterly destroyed. And I don't think there's too many relationships that would have survived me, getting home from something in the daytime saying, honey, can you pour me a flight of 4 wines? And then time me and then tell me how I did. Don't show me the bottles.
Don't show me. So you had a little ritual.
Yeah. She really helped, and we were totally in it together. But so I called her first, and then I called some people, obviously in Seattle, my great employers at the Met, and it was just, it still almost hasn't sunk in.
Nice. And what happens to those who don't pass? I mean, you can come back a couple times.
You get to at the MS level, if you pass one of the components that I mentioned, you get 2 years that you can hold on to that and keep trying to get the other components you didn't get.
Right.
But once the 2 years go by, if you haven't passed the remaining components, you reset, which is just heartbreaking. So, then you have to start all over again, and you got to wonder, is it worth the relationships? Is it worth, still having my life on hold? But you can try as many times as you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me, if you just tuned in, this is the Jopra Show. In studio today, man, I got the new Master Sommelier himself, Thomas Price, has joined us. And give us a call. Ask Thomas some questions at 425-373-5527. Thomas is great to bring a big bottle of wine that he will have you come to the Metropolitan Grill and sign and take some pictures with him. So be my third caller. Holler at me here at the Jopra Show again at 425-373-5527. Thomas, next big question for you on the Jopra Show.
Yes, sir.
Did you get a new contract at the Metropolitan Grill? When you win MVP, when you get to put a ring on your finger.
Let me just say that I'm extremely happy there. Things are great, and I look forward to. It was a big. They really stuck by me through this process and all the time that it took, and bringing this certification home to the Met and obviously keeping it there really, really means a lot to me. So things are great.
Okay, things are good. And, within that then, so then what happens next for Thomas Price in that part? Does the Met now, it's your world down there. So you're running the whole book.
Yeah.
And can you go off and do other restaurants? Do you have that ability, or you stay with the Met until further notice?
I can't really. I have no plans on going anywhere. They're treating me great. As far as consulting and stuff, I've had some talks with the president and the owner. Everything's great. Like I said, I'm still and to the credit of our organization, the Court of Master Sommeliers specifically, as well as the Met, I was pulled aside when I passed the exam at dinner with my new colleagues, and they said, "Don't get your head full. We're based really on humility." And a lot of people sort of don't think that, but they said, "Don't go home and start thinking you're great and doing all this stuff." They said, if the people that you've worked with have respected you and treated you great, give back to them. And I'm completely on board with that.
That's it. It's good. It's good until the contract comes up again. Then the new agent comes to play.
It's all good.
So Thomas, I did. You and I talked a little bit on the phone yesterday, but before the show, and you were talking about this whole new documentary coming out called Somm.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really interesting. It premieres on November 7th at the Napa Valley Film Festival, and a director called Jason Wise, who's done some other really cool documentaries, had sort of gotten wind of this exam and basically followed 4 of my colleagues, 3 of which have passed since the film was made, through the sort of trials and tribulations of what it takes to pass this. The way the movie looks, there's a trailer online. It's just under Somm if you Google it up. But it looks like it's going to be really, really well done. With the kind of things we do, it would have been pretty easy to do kind of a best in show sort of mockumentary about how serious we all take it, but it looks like it's going to be a really cool sort of chronicling of what it takes to pass this exam.
Nice. Lots of people just getting into it, a lot of emotions, a lot of things happening.
Exactly.
Thomas, so now that you're a Master Somm and you're working the Met on the floor, Lisa wanted to ask you a question about that whole.
Do customers try to come in and stump you?
Not really, but it, like I said, it's been such a short time. I fully expect that, and I haven't had the study hat on in a while. I would be, please don't do this, anybody, but I would be eminently stumpable right now. Where if you would have got me about 2 months ago, I was unbeatable. So, but no, not lately. But I'm in a vulnerable spot right now in terms of having full command of everything about the world of wine.
Awesome. And for my listeners out there, now, Thomas, is there a good book you would recommend? Something that Lisa or myself or Devlin would like to purchase and just sort of help us get into the wine world a little bit and understand some parts of it.
Absolutely. There's a great book by a woman named Karen McNeil. She's fantastic, out of Napa Valley, called The Wine Bible. And it's it makes it fun. There's so many, when you're talking about minimum alcohols and maximum must weights and percentages and barrel regimes, people eyes glaze over. She keeps it really, really fun in her book, The Wine Bible. And then if you're a little more serious, this one's a bit of an investment, and it's always hard to buy a wine book, a wine theory book or a wine chronicling book because stuff goes out of date so fast. But a terrific book is by Tom Stevenson. It's called The Sotheby's Wine Encyclopedia. That's going to set you back a little. That'll be about a $50 book, coffee table kind of thing. But pictures, regions, great photos, great anecdotes, and lists of producers. It's a terrific resource. I use that book a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
And, coming down the stretch here, I got to ask a couple fun questions.
Yes.
Just to sort of, finish up on a good note. And, I'm going to let Lisa start off, and then I got one after her.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's your favorite bottle of bubbles?
And this will probably sound a little geeky, but there's a bunch of producers in Champagne that actually grow their own grapes. Champagne's based on people buying grapes from other people. I don't want to put anyone to sleep, but one of my favorite producers is a producer called Vilmart. It's Vilmart. That's a great one. There's another producer called Gaston Chiquet. That's great. And if you have the dough and you're in the aisle and you can't find any of those, good old Bollinger is one of the greatest producers, one of my favorites.
Bollinger. Yeah.
And then don't forget Prosecco if you don't want to break the bank. Coming out of northern Italy, those wines are beautiful. And they're inexpensive.
And, Thomas, is the direction of the Washington wine world on par? I mean, when you're out traveling now, are there people sort of giving us good kudos? I know we've built up a great name with some of these big names like Leonetti and Quilceda Creek, but there's a lot of new young bloods out here now. And there's a lot of things happening.
It's a terrific scene right now. And one of the great things about Washington wine is everyone's always really been supportive of each other. For example, if there's a short vintage, even to this day, they had a freeze in and I think it was 10. St. Michel will donate or sell, but give fruit to people who might not have gotten any in a cooler area like Walla Walla, so they at least have wine for a vintage, which is really, really cool. I love the direction Washington wine's going. I think that we're just starting to find out what should be planted where. We've got a bunch of talented winemakers. It's going in a terrific direction in the state. I'm very excited about it.
Nice. Well, thanks. That's awesome. I tell you, folks, the Master Somm is in the house today, man. TP, folks, Thomas Price. We are going to go to a break. Coming up next, Mr. Tequila is going to be in the house. Brought him all the way up for Portland. Mr. Clayton, the Tequila Experience man's in the house. And don't forget, the man from the Great Naboth. They call him Devlin. He'll be coming up next with Tequila. This is the Jopra Show on Alternative Talk Radio, KKNW. We'll be right back.
Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair discusses issues that are important to you, like good health and well-being, finding a new job and building your business, overcoming life's big challenges and making sense out of chaos, and living with passion and joy. Join us Mondays at noon Pacific for Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair. See conversationslive.net for show schedule and guest information.
Do you have legal questions? Need to know where to turn?
Hi, this is Rick Gregrick, your host of Northwest Legal Compass.
Northwest Legal Compass will address your questions on a variety of legal topics, including estate planning, asset protection, real estate and business planning, and more. The legal and accounting staff of Gregrick and Associates are dedicated to providing you with superior legal and tax services. Their integrated counsel is geared to the achievement of your goals.
Visit us on the web at rjglegal.com.
Be sure and tune in every Friday at noon here on Alternative Talk 1150.
While cutting molding with a 12-inch dual compound miter saw, while holding a newborn baby in your arms, when face-to-face with a congregation of alligators, with the ball in your hands and the entire freaking season on the line.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting, so why would you do it while driving? NASCAR driver Casey Kane here, asking you to please stop the text, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Get the message at stoptextstopwrecks.org.
No shirt, no shoes, no problem. Come as you are. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
Welcome back, folks, to the Jopra Show. It's tequila time here on the Jopra Show. I'm Joe Genome in studio today with the man, the myth, and the legends of tequila, Devlin McGill, and a specialist of tequila Experience, my main man, Clayton. Chad Clayton from Portland is calling us live. That's how we do it here at the Jopra Show. We go deep if we need information. Clayton, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Good. Welcome. Well, Devlin, there's a big event, folks, going on August 18th, and we got to talk a little bit about it. It's called the Northwest Tequila Fest. It's going to be up there in Finney Ridge. It's a huge event. A good friend of mine, Devlin McGill from the Great and Bob, is putting this together. And we talked about the event. I said, man, this is good Jopra stuff. Come on, great material. We can make this work. So he's joining us in the studio today. And Devlin, tell me a little bit about this event happening on August 18th.
Well, Joe, first off, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate this.
No problem.
I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm actually going to start with the charity, and then we'll work into tequila. Years ago, I got involved with a group called the Benevolent Guild Seattle, and basically we're a bunch of guys that like to drink for children's organizations.
Nice.
It doesn't get much easier than that, does it?
I don't know how Thomas and I have missed this guild. I mean, I know we've been studying a little wine, but don't we get like a memo? I mean, Clayton, are you part of this too?
Oh, it sounds like I'm going to be.
Yeah, we're a bunch of guys that got together. Actually, I wasn't part of the initial group, but a bunch of bartenders that got together years ago and said, you know what, as long as we're sitting around drinking a beer, let's drink a beer and help out our community at the same time. So we formed a nonprofit group, and it's in our charter that all of the money that we raise has to benefit King County children's organizations. And over the course of 13 years, by sitting around drinking beer, we've raised over $200,000 for children's organizations.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a great group of guys. So we kind of sat around about a year and a half ago and said, well, we need to do something a little bit larger to help out our kids a little bit more.
Kids need help.
They do need help. And at the same time, my good friend Jackie Moffett, who's my partner in crime on this gig, she owns a website called drinkgal.com. She's been in the bar industry for a long time, and she started this website, and she said, Seattle, or for that matter, the Pacific Northwestern United States, doesn't have a tequila festival. We should do one. How do we do that? I said, well, it's Washington State, baby. We got to use a nonprofit group. Guess what? I know a group of guys that like raise money for kids by drinking. And there was a marriage born in heaven right there.
That's love right there.
Yeah, that's love. So beginning of this year, we had talked about it for many years, and we said, you know what? It's time to do this. Let's put this together.
Right.
So the entire idea is that we want to create a format that people can come out and discover all the great sides of tequila, mezcal, sotol, and discover that it's not just that liquor that you passed around at 3 o'clock in the morning in college and puked on anymore.
Right.
There's some great stuff out there.
Because, so tequila's become a little sophisticated.
It has become, yeah.
Tell my listeners a little bit about, you can buy tickets online.
You can buy tickets online.
So there's two levels. You got the general.
We got the general.
And you got the VIP.
We got the VIP.
Hey, what's going on in the VIP?
The VIP?
Because the Jopra loves VIP.
Yeah. Well, Jopra is a VIP. That's how I've always known it.
That's how we roll.
Exactly.
That's how we roll.
So the VIP is a little on the low key this year. Being our first year, everything that we're doing is we're just biting off a little bit to get our feet wet, listen to what people have to say. VIP, you're going to get a couple more tickets. You're going to get a very nice large tasting glass that you can take home. But most importantly, you're going to get in an hour early before everybody else. So you can go up to that table that only has one bottle of this extra añejo or the mezcal that's fairly rare. And you can really get the good stuff that people have an appreciation for.
Nice.
And there's only 100 people that are being let in the first round, so you can really sit down, you can talk to the suppliers, the brand representatives, you can get the information that you really want about tequila, mezcal, and sotol.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. And Clayton, I got to meet you a couple nights ago, and we do call you, everyone calls you the tequila specialist, but could you tell me your role in this? They brought you all the way up from Portland, so I know that you're big time. Tell me your role in this whole event, if you could, please.
Well, just trying to be a partner in crime here and pull some of my weight. I've been in the Northwest for most of my life, and I consider my backyard. I do a lot of work up in Seattle with industry trainings and public and private tastings and pairings dinners and things like that. And through a mutual friend, Kent at Aja Toro Tequila, got introduced to Jackie and Devlin, and right away could see that they knew all the right people. They had the right attitude. They were going to do a good job with it. So, I'm kind of just the peanut gallery, basically. My neck's not on the line, so if it's an utter failure, it's not going to hurt me, but I'm doing my best to here and there pitch in and make sure it's going to be a huge success, which it's going to be. If you look at the list of brands they have, there are several brands that are just coming in now under the new open system, and a lot of stuff, including, the whole category of sotol, which most people have never even tried. So it's really going to be something that the state of Washington and possibly the entire Pacific Northwest has really not seen yet.
Nice. And Clayton, could you tell my listeners a little bit about what is sotol?
Sotol, you notice we both, I think there's going to be 2 Sotols in the show, and Devlin and I both keep bringing it up just because it's such an exciting thing. Sotol is a traditional Mexican spirit made in the north of the country, primarily in the state of Chihuahua, but in 2 other states as well. And it's traditionally considered a mezcal, meaning an agave spirit, but the plant biologist a few years ago kind of messed up the traditional nomenclature by bringing the science in and discovered that this plant, which in English we call the desert spoon, isn't actually an agave after all, though it really looks like one. But it's a tequila-like beverage made from a different region of Mexico, from a different plant, and it's got some really, really unique earthy and vegetal flavors going on that a lot of people I think will really enjoy and find very unique.
Nice. Thomas, have you had Sotol yet?
I never have, actually,
Okay.
and it sounds really cool.
And Devlin, have you Sotol'd up
I've had
times?
a couple of Sotols.
Well,
yeah,
because it's for the guild. You need
exactly. It's for the kids.
It's right. It's for the kids. Clayton. So I mean, if you heard the show a little bit, we had the king of wines in, Master Somm himself, Thomas Price. Would we consider you? I mean, being a special of tequila, would you be like a master of tequila? I mean, I know that you have a lot of history. You go take a group down and do the tequila experience every year in November in Mexico. Are you a master of tequila? Is there a master of spirits?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Well, I'm certainly not a master in the tequila tradition. There's a term, maestro tequilero, which can mean a couple different things, but it's typically reserved for somebody who's a master at creating tequila, and typically will also be a master of blending and tasting as well. Although those 3 things can be, pretty specifically separated from each other. I don't make tequila. I don't blend tequila, at least not in any formal way, not in any purposeful way.
I could argue that, Clayton.
Right?
I've been working for several years on working with producers and master tasters to someday become some kind of master taster myself. But the road is long, and you have to be humble and take the time to do it. There really isn't anything in the tequila world specifically, or the agave spirits world, like being a sommelier and with the different levels and being a master sommelier. I mean, my hat's off to Thomas and people who have managed to do that, and I know how much I think I know how much dedication that really takes. We're still babies in the world of agave spirits, where really we've only formalized and gotten our act together, really in the last 30 years, and in some ways only in the last 15. And we look to the world of wine a lot, and basically steal all the good ideas we can from them because why not? They've been doing it a lot longer, and they're very good at it. So there are different certification programs, and there's 2 different Mexican academies of tequila, because everything becomes political. But there's not one recognized program in the way that there is in wine that everybody respects. So it's kind of the Wild West out here.
Nice. And tell me a little bit, and maybe I'll start with you, Devlin. Has tequila, I mean, is it now the new sophisticated thing? Is it instead of people taking shots? I mean, I see tequila being served in brandy snifters. I'm seeing it served in certain glassware now. I mean, is it to the next level?
It's
is it
definitely
like a scotch?
taken off. It is.
It's very
bourbon?
similar
to scotch. Yeah. In fact, I would almost put tequila and bourbon in the same category. Just in the last 10 years, there's been a real appreciation of the different types of tequilas and the sophistication and how people drink their tequila. Mm-hmm. I mean, you remember back in the day when you were a young bartender, you had 3 kinds of tequila on the back bar, and that was for the guy at the end of the night.
Right.
You just wanted to get out of the bar.
Well, because when I was bartending, I invented gin. So,
you did. You've been around that long. That's true. Yeah. I remember reading that in grade school in my textbooks.
Yes.
But anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. But nowadays it is people specifically, they glom onto flavor profiles. They're looking for something specific, a lot like scotch.
Right. And Clayton, I mean, do you see it out there? You're traveling around the country and traveling through Mexico. I mean, how far is this going to go? I mean, are people going to start spending, $50, $80 shots to drink sophisticated tequila?
Well, people do spend, $50 to $80 shots. You got to keep in mind when you're making an extra añejo, which is a tequila that's been in an oak barrel for at least 3 years, and down in that semi-arid climate, they're losing easily 10% of their volume a year. You put that product in a bar, and you start out with the raw ingredient. Even the cheapest tequila, the raw ingredient, the blue agave, took at least 6 years to grow, and they had to consume the entire plant to make the tequila. So you've got an expensive product to begin with. You've got expensive raw material. You've got relatively skilled labor that harvests that raw material. And then if you get into the aged and extra aged categories, you've got a lot of lost product that you got to recoup. So people already are paying that. But I like to point out to people that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's similar in wine where, price might tell you something, but it's certainly not going to tell you everything. And if you have more money than sense, you can spend a lot of it on tequila that's not going to take you very far. Whereas if you really trust your mouth, as one of my teachers likes to say, and get past the marketing, get past the bottle, you don't have to spend a lot of money to really find a nice, good sipping tequila. And the first thing to know is to start with 100% agave tequila, and then you're on the right track. And from there, just trust your mouth.
I got you on that. I got to trust my mouth more.
You really do, Joe.
I do.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
And going back a little bit to the event a little bit, Dev. I mean, this is a great event. I like where this is going. Is there going to be food at this event? Because my listeners are going to need a little food because Jopra people, they like to party a little bit.
Yes, they do.
They like to party.
Yeah, absolutely. We got 3 great restaurants coming out. We've got Little Water Cantina, we've got Poquitos, and we've got the Agave boys coming out. They're all setting up food booths. I know, I love Little Water too. I spend a lot of time there. I'm not going to lie, I spend a lot of time at Little Water
Cantina.
Yeah. Love those guys. So they're all setting up booths. So we're going to have some great food out there,
right?
And not just your what Seattle people would think of as your typical burritos and tacos. They're doing some pretty interesting stuff,
right?
So I'm really looking forward. We have over 120 different types of tequilas, sotals, and mezcals coming at last count. That seems to be changing on a daily basis. So I'll let you know the day of. And it really is going to be a great representation. So once again, echoing what Clayton says, you got to trust your mouth. And this is a great venue to bring your mouth and ask your mouth, what do you like?
Right. Drink with some boys in the corner.
Exactly.
Thomas, I mean, you guys, you taste wine all the time.
Yes.
And is there a master of spirits? Or, I mean, I know there's a master of wines. There's a master somm.
I think
is there a spirits?
Not really. I mean, we're as master sommeliers, we're required to know a fair amount about the world of spirits, including tequila. Although Clayton sounds like he is a master of tequila in my book. You sound like you know what you're talking about, bro. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Seriously, not that I know of. I think it's more to what Clayton spoke to earlier. It's more master titles are conferred in the world of spirits on people who make them. So, master distiller for, Chris Morris at Woodford Reserve or tequila master. It's more for people who make them, not sort of taste them and can get people into what they like to drink maybe and sort of build a bridge for people who are just starting out or maybe they know a lot or so that's, But yeah, no, I'm excited about this event. Tequila, just on a personal note, is probably my favorite spirit to drink.
And we'll talk about that in a private show later. If you're just joining us on the Jopra Show, we got the tequila specialist from Tequila Experience there, my man Clayton's in the house from Portland, Oregon. And then the king, Devlin McGill from the Great Nabob joining us. They got a couple, they're going to give away 4 tickets to the event. For August 18th. So if you give a call in at 425-373-5527, my producer, Eric Ryder, will take you down your information. And if you want to sit there and ask a few questions, jump right on that. So the lines are open. Devlin, I had a question for you.
Shoot, brother.
I've been to beer fests. I've been to wine tastings. I've been to bourbon tastings. The tequila tasting scares me just a tad. Because dark things happen when people drink tequila.
No, those are wives' tales. Come on, Joe.
Well,
I think so.
I got to say this. If Lisa and I showed up with Thomas Price, and we were sitting in the back VIP section, is there one tequila, and Clayton, you can jump on this, is there the one tequila that it's the don't miss, the Cosita Creek of tequila?
There's going to be a lot of great tequilas there, and a lot of great mezcals, and I could sit here and start rattling off different mezcals and tequilas that I've fallen in love with.
What's the Big Papa? I mean, what's the one that, if we rolled in, you would just walk me to the table and say, Joe, this is it.
This is it. I'm going to point you at 2 tequilas.
Right.
Number 1 is the Aja Toro Extra Añejo.
Okay.
For the price, I think it's a great tequila. And then also you drop Jose Cuervo, and a lot of people going, ugh. But their Tradicional line is pretty good stuff. And their Reserva de la Familia, which is their Extra Añejo, is got to be one of my favorites as well.
Right.
Those 2 I would definitely point you out in a heartbeat. But I would also say, don't hesitate to mess around with the mezcals. I personally, in the course of this whole production, have gone from being a hardcore tequila guy to pretty much a mezcal guy.
Right.
And I love the mezcals.
And Clay, can you tell my listeners, what's the difference between the whole tequila and the mezcal? What's the difference?
Yeah.
And Devlin, you can jump on this too.
About 4 years ago, this was a very simple answer. And so let me start there, and I'll be brief. About 4 years ago, the answer, which is still the traditionalist answer, is tequila is a type of mezcal in the same way that scotch is a type of whiskey. So tequila, the name comes from the name of a town, and it's the name of the spirit was Mezcal de Tequila, the mezcal from the town of Tequila. And it became so famous and so well regarded that just like we hardly ever say Scotch whiskey, people just started saying tequila. And so tequila was a mezcal made from one particular kind of agave, the blue agave, in primarily in the region of the state of Jalisco. Now, just as tequila producers looked to France primarily and saw all the appellation of origin products there that the French producers were doing very well with in the global market and said, hey, we need to get a piece of that action. And tequila started to take itself seriously and negotiated to have its appellation of origin protected about 15 to 20 years ago, depending on the region of the world. Now the traditional mezcal producers, primarily in the state of Oaxaca in the very south of Mexico, have looked at tequila in the same way and said, hey, they're doing pretty well for themselves. We need to get a piece of that action. So now the legal technical definition is that mezcal is not tequila, and it is made in one of 7 Mexican states from any agave, including the blue agave, that has enough fermentable sugar. So mezcal is still a broader category, and there are mezcals. In fact, if people in Washington, probably the best known mezcal up there is El Zacatecano because Edgar Martinez pitches it. And that's a mezcal that's made with blue agave in the state of Zacatecas with a steam cooking method. And if they move the state line, it would become a tequila. So you have everything from that, which is basically a tequila, to very, very smoky, pit-cooked agave, agave spirits and things. There will be several lines bringing in spirits made from more exotic wild agaves, like the Oaxaca line is going to bring in a Madre Quiche and a Tobalá, which are agaves that they harvest wild from the hills. So the flavor possibilities just get even wider when you move into mezcal. Devlin's absolutely right about that.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me say from a bar owner standpoint, it's really easy to take a Scotch drinker and turn them into a mezcal drinker in a heartbit.
Okay, good comparison.
It's a great comparison. And like I said, I've been loving the mezcals lately.
Right. Mezcal's like the Jack Daniels. Can't be it's a whiskey.
And
can't
just
be a
to throw a thing, I wanted to avoid the issue of cost before, but I'll contradict myself and bring it in because mezcal's expensive in this country. It's an unknown category, so people take a lot of risk bringing it in, and you can easily pay $80 to $100 for a blanco, for mezcal. They call it a joven, an unaged spirit, a white spirit, which is very, very expensive even by tequila standards. And when you go to the show, you're going to have the opportunity for either 1 ticket or 2 tickets, depending on the rarity of the product, to be able to taste some of this stuff that in the new system would maybe set you back $100, $120 a bottle. So for that reason too, I encourage people to take advantage of the VIP thing and get there early because some of this stuff, some of these wild agaves take 12, 14 years to grow, and they're very small, and they don't make a lot of this stuff, and they certainly don't send a ton of it to Washington. So definitely people should take advantage.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I got to think. I mean, for sure. I mean, I know Thomas Price, and he loves his tequila.
I do.
And I know that Lisa Martin, to my left, and I definitely have to maybe have a rendezvous with the Mezcal Wild Plant people, and just hang out a little bit in the corner. Guys, a little bit about the event, August 18th again.
August 18th.
How many people are we expecting?
We're looking for probably it's going to be around 500 to 1,000 people for the first year.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's a great number.
Yeah.
That's a great number. And, I mean, great food, great tequila to try. I mean, so tell me then. I mean, so we're doing lots of tequila. Are you guys organizing another event or beer or whiskeys?
We're fully focused on Tequila Fest for the next year and then making the first year a success and then following it up with another success in the second year.
Right.
And we really want to make sure that this is an event that goes on for 20 years. We want to listen to what people have to say and make sure that it's a pleasurable, safe experience for everybody.
Nice. And, I mean, okay, so we drink tequila. And my listeners want to know. And you're an educated guy. You know where to get the good stuff. What restaurant, what lounge has the best collection? I mean, where do you go? There's a lot out there.
One of the reasons we chose to work with the 3 food vendors that we are for this event is that they all have phenomenal food. They have phenomenal back bars. They've got a great selection. They've got educated bartenders. So once again, there's 2 agave restaurants on the east side, one in Redmond and one in Issaquah. And then Paquitos is up on Capitol Hill.
Right.
And Little Water is down on East Lake with probably one of the coolest decks in town.
Right. So where would you go?
Well, Little Water is the closest place to my house. So once again, I wind up spending a lot of time there.
TP, where's your spot to go have a little tequila? I
hate to
the
mirror
basement? The basement?
there is some in the basement, definitely. The golden Don Julio Silver, just in case, in the safe room,
right?
But I hate to plug them again, but I agree with Devlin. I like going to Little Water. I just think the food's terrific. I love the tequila selection, and it's a place where you can go and ask the bartender, hey, like myself personally, I generally like silvers. I don't like a lot of oak on my tequila, and I say, where are you taking me now? So,
right.
And they always pick something cool that I haven't heard of, which is not that easy to do.
No, not at all. And Clayton, you're down there in Portland, which I love to get on my Bolt bus and take a little trip down there once in a while.
That's right.
Clayton, is there a good bar down in Portland if I was going to come down that way that you'd recommend to try a little tequila? And
Absolutely. For tequila specifically and a little bit of mezcal, there's a place called Trebol, which is Trebol, and it's in North Portland, just north of the Mississippi District, Albina in Alberta. And my buddy Tony Pepe is the bar manager up there, and he has been down on his own dime 3 times with me to learn everything from the agave to distillation to barreling. And he's a true student of the spirit, and go in there on the weekend, and you'll be lucky enough to sit at his bar, and he does a fantastic job. Nice. And I love all the places that are bringing the food. I work with a couple of those places, and I think they all do a great job. I'm going to throw it out there for Paquitos too, with all my respect for Little Water as well. But Paquitos does a great job with their food, and I have to say that if they don't know what they're talking about, if they can't help you to a good tequila, then let me know, because I did their trainings, so I want to hear about it.
There's some consultant fees in this one, folks. There's some consultant fees. Well, I think this has been very interesting. I mean, what a great project to be working on, Devlin. I mean,
thank you.
Tell me, though, when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, how much money are you going to raise?
We're hoping to raise a lot. That's all I can tell you right now.
God bless you. God bless you. And so if people are going to come in, can they walk up on Saturday night
can walk
and
up
pick
on
up
Saturday,
tickets?
Pick up tickets.
No problem.
No problem. It's open to the public at 1 o'clock. We go till 7 o'clock.
Till 7 o'clock.
And then there's a couple bars around town that maybe there's going to be some of the reps that are going to those bars afterwards.
Sure, just to make sure everyone's getting their love.
Just to make sure everybody gets their love. Exactly.
Right. I do know that TP and Lisa and Martin are will be taking the bus up Greenwood Avenue.
That's the best way to do it.
Just drop right in because, I know I won't be able to get home after an hour. And Clayton, are you coming up for the event? Are we going to have the tequila specialist?
This is a heartbreaking question. It's a heartbreaking question. I'm not going to be able to make it because I'm going to be at a tequila festival in Santa Barbara, and the dates conflicted this year. But everybody's going to sit down with some tequila and mezcal and make sure it doesn't happen next year.
Okay, good.
That is for sure.
All right, folks. Well, from Portland, my main man Clayton Sheck is in the house. He has a .com site called TotalExperience.com. They set up trips to go down to Mexico. They're doing one in November. So if you're interested in a little travel, and I tell you, this Clayton guy's a good cat. It'd be fun to travel with. He knows a lot. He's got tons of knowledge, and he knows the bars where to take you. So go to TotalExperience.com. Clayton, thanks a lot for joining us today. Yes, sir.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
That was very flattering. I appreciate it. It's ExperienceTequila.com.
Oh, Experience. I see it's twice now. ExperienceTequila.com. I apologize. Go check it out. Thank you, Mr. Clayton.
No problem.
Clayton, have a good one. Thanks for joining us on the Jopra Show. We'll get back to you later. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
But Devlin, in closing, finishing up here, I mean, let me just segue out the tequila for one moment.
All right.
And, my people want to know, how are the bars doing with this whole new change in the spirit world?
It's an interesting time out there for spirits. I think everybody is feeling around in the dark a little bit right now.
Okay.
On all sides, bars, restaurants, suppliers, distributors, even liquor control board for that matter, a little bit.
Sure.
And but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a little challenging for a couple months.
Right. Because
hold tight there.
I've been noticing like a lot of the smaller producers having a hard time finding them.
Yeah,
you go to a lot of bars, everyone seems to be out of it. Where'd all the booze go?
Exactly.
Where'd all of it go?
And everybody's having a hard time just trying to figure out what truck does it get on. But we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Don't you worry out there. We'll get you your booze.
You get it straight?
Yeah, we'll get it straight.
And, TP, I got to ask one question for you about just the wine thing.
Yes.
And I forgot about this earlier, but I wanted to ask you, with all the new young guys coming, is there something standing out? Is there somebody like, hey, this cat is making some serious wine right now and doing something? Is there somebody local that you would give my listeners a little prop to?
You know, I mean, there's a couple people I'd talk about. I really love what Chris Sparkman's doing at Sparkman Winery. He does a terrific job. I love, he's a dear old friend of mine, but I've always loved his wines. Tom Glaze from Balboa is doing a terrific job. Love Chad and Corey at Dusted Valley, and I would be remiss to not give a shout-out to maybe my favorite winemaker in the state of Washington, Brendan Layton from FSD Winery.
Yeah.
He was formerly at St. Michel, and he's just making absolutely fantastic wines in all colors and all styles. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. And in closing from our man Devlin, can you want to give a little shout-out to your restaurant, the Great Nabob?
Oh, yeah, the Great Nabob, and then I also own the Leary Traveler, 2 great neighborhood pubs. Come down and see us. I got to say, we have a great staff. Of course, all my love's got to go to those guys. We got a group of guys and gals, that really care about what they do, and they really care about the product and the customers. So go down and give them a little love.
Nice.
It's all about them.
It is all about them.
Yeah.
I tend to people tend to forget. Sometimes it's all about the staff. I mean, you guys both work with great staffs down at the Met. They got the old Comfort down there, and they do a great job doing their thing. And then at your places, young, youthful, and energetic, and just making it happen.
That's what I try to do.
That's what it's all about, right?
Exactly.
Well, I tell you this, Devlin, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. What a great piece. I think that people shall go. I tell you this, if you're not doing anything next Saturday on August 18th at 1 o'clock, leave your car at home, get up there in Greenwood, and check out the Northwest Tequila Fest. Because, you know what? I'm going to be there early. I want to try out some mezcals. I want to go to the Sotal, and I make sure that Lisa gets home by 2. Thomas and I will be done by 2:30.
Exactly.
And it'll be a great day.
Yeah.
Be a great
day. My wife will tell me to go take a nap, which she has done in the past, and do again. And that's just how it goes. Folks, I tell you this. Eric, are you going to come up and drink some tequila with me this week? I'm sorry I've ignored you a little bit today. I apologize.
That's all right. That sounds like fun. I'll tell you who's going to come in and join you. Anna. She's our ticket winner.
Oh,
so
nice.
I just want to say congratulations to her.
Hey, thank you. And it's going to be a great show. We'll get tickets out to you there, and we can go from there. But in closing this, I tell you, what a great day of social. We got to know what it takes to get to that level of levels with Thomas Price and becoming a master somm. And I love that, no matter what, after 8 years, he had a plan, he had an objective, he had the family backing him, and he was able to get it done. And I think that in this day and age, we talk a lot about on the Jopra Show, Dare to Dream. And you know what? His dream came true. And he was to fulfill it. And we're blessed to have him in studio and see what it takes to get there. So thank you, Thomas. And,
My pleasure.
You also go to the other side about guys just doing what it takes and how to get what they want to do. And at the same time, have some fun and be able to actually build some money while having fun. And you bring you bring people around and get Devlin McGill together. And he's a to-do guy. And I tell you this, knowing him for as long as I know, this event will be a great event. So August 18th, up on Greenwood, may be, in 5 years, I guarantee you, it will become like the block party. I know Devlin. I know he will push this.
Thanks
but
a lot,
in the
Joe.
meantime, you need to get online to the Northwest Tequila Fest. Go on there, get yourself some tickets, and go. I'm hoping to have Thomas Price with me next week. You'll be able to come talk to Jopra because Jopra will be running around there doing his thing. And if you look for me, I'll be in a corner with a small little producer drinking a bottle out of his bag. That's how I like to roll on the Jopra Show.
Only small little compared to you.
So. That's how it goes. And then, Lisa, are you going to join me next week?
I'll join you.
Okay, good.
Can't say no to tequila.
Sure can. Yeah. And we'll leave the cars where they may be. But, folks, I wanted to say coming up next week, we have another great show coming up. We're going to talk to the food trucks. It's time to get them in studio. They're out there busting their butt every day of every week. But I'm telling you this, they are big. If you find Marion Nation or Skillet or where you're at, Matt, it's 20 deep. It's a 10, 15-minute wait, and the food is excellent. But what's happening with them right now, they're expanding. Skillet's about to open a pub in Woodinville. Where you're at, Matt's opening up the Rue down in Fremont. And Marion Nation is killing it up on Capitol Hill. So they're going to be in studio next week, so you're going to need to join us on the Jopra Show. But in closing this, I want to tell everybody, I want you to have a safe weekend. Whatever you do, enjoy what you do. And after the show, think about it. Think what you can do, because you can do anything, especially what I see with these two cats. And I'm blessed to have them both in the show. Lisa, thank you for coming in today.
Always a pleasure.
I'm Joe Janot. This is the Jopra Show. I appreciate Eric Ryder and his time at 1150 KKNW Alternative Talk Radio. Have a great week. Bye-bye.